All right, everyone, how to draw and paint the human eye. In this video, we'll talk about the larger the highlight, the better, and that the side shadows are really important to help make the eye look spherical. So let's get drawing and painting. All right, so here I am drawing the eye. I personally like to sketch the entire thing. And the fun part about doing eyes is once you learn how to do one eye, you're pretty much able to do any eye. There's a lot of things that are done repeatedly on when drawing or painting an eye. So for example, right now I'm just kind of trying to get the iris a little detail. I know there's going to be speckles of color in there, so I just want to make sure that I don't forget to do that. And right there, you see that I'm doing the shadow under the eyelid, which is so important when you're drawing a realistic eye. That shadow underneath the eyelid is so important. Here I'm using different color flesh tones. I like to mix up the flesh tones even though I'm using my iPad and it's the Procreate. You can still use it just like a paintbrush. So I like to use different colors. Here I'm starting the iris. So the cool thing about using Procreate is I can turn off my lines at any time I want to. There, I just got rid of my sketch lines. It was on one layer and I'm able to remove it just to see if I'm getting the shadows around the iris dark enough. So that's a quick way to do that. And here I'm going to start working on the highlights of the eyes, which are very important. I'm going back and forth, adding some color into the iris, and again working on those highlights. And right around here again, I'm working on the side of the eye. I call them side shadows. These are so important to make your eye look like it's an actual sphere or a ball. If you didn't have them, they would just sit flat in the eye socket. So you definitely need those side shadows. That is huge when making a realistic eye. And of course, no eye is complete without little teensy tiny veins. Here again, working on the highlight, so important. And here I'm working on elongating the highlight. Truly, the bolder you can go with your highlight in your eye, the more realistic the eye looks. Eyelashes are important as well. Notice that I use scoops instead of stick straight little lines. They're more of a swoop. And here I'm actually putting the shadow of the eyelash. So again, I'm using Procreate on my iPad, so I'm able to turn on and turn off different layers that I've used on the eye, and that really helps me. I'm able to cut through some of the things I don't like or change them, try them out. If it doesn't work, then I put it back in. So I highly recommend using Procreate on your iPad. Working on the shadows of the eyelashes still, again, which I will time and time again. But again, to make the eye look realistic, those little details make a huge difference. Notice my attention to the detail inside the iris. I like to use several colors. You'll see a little tinge of a yellowish golden hue in there, and a light blue and a darker blue. And of course then the highlight color, the ultimate very light blue. That's to give it depth, so it's not such a flat iris. Now I'm just filling in some darkest of the dark around the eye, allowing highlights to show that it actually looks like the eye is a bit sunken into the skull. Crease above the eye, I really like that to be dark so that the eye stands out. You'll see I go back to that a few times, making it darker and darker. Fixing up some tiny details, again making the eye look more spherical by making both sides darker, the side shadows I call them. And it's also important to add a little bit of your lightest light, your highlight, in the, I'm going to call it the meaty part of the eye. The part of the eye is like the lip around the eye. So it looks like there's a little bit of shine to it. If you look at somebody's eye, you'll see that there's a little bit of a shine in that section of the eye, the pink around the eye. Okay, so you might think this is petty, but look at the white I'm putting around the eye right there. That makes a big difference, believe it or not. Again, just filling in some highlights and lowlights around the bone structure of the face. Okay, here come her freckles. This is the fun part on the iPad, because you can play with all sorts of different brushes, they call it, to achieve the freckles. And you'll see at some point I will be smudging out some of them so that they're not so pronounced. So I dabble some on and then I take some off so that there's no pattern, set pattern to freckles. So I'm eliminating some as I add them. Highlights and lowlights still. And that side shadow is so important. It helps make the eye look like it's an actual ball instead of a flat piece of white, which, by the way, I'm not using white. I know it looks white compared to the rest of the painting, but usually I'm using either a real light gray or a really light blue, or sometimes a beige, so it never is truly a white, the whites of the eyes. when you're drawing an eye, notice the eyelashes come out from the bottom of the pink strip, not from the top of the pink strip, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm a detail fanatic, so you'll see me cleaning things up constantly until I finally say I'm done. But that's what I'm doing right there at the corner of the eye. Okay, we're coming up on the end, and there you have it. Thanks for joining, and if you liked what you saw, please subscribe to my channel, and I will have many more tutorials to come. Thanks for joining me. Bye.